everyone, Marcy-Ann here. I am so excited to be on. This is call 1. Thank you for watching the replay. I thought I would quickly go through my story a bit in case any of it resonates with you or resonates with somebody that you love, and you can invite them into this group. I thought I was doing incredible in my health back about 10 years ago, and I ran a full marathon. I was thriving. Or at least I thought I was thriving. Now that I look back, I realize all the holes that was in, that then had me kind of crumble and kind of break down. Okay. So shortly after, I ran that marathon, I did have a surgery. And then I thought I was recovering pretty good. And then found out my husband needed a kidney transplant. So stress, started working, and there was some stress with that. Transplant in and of itself was amazing and successful, but still some stress with that. And then teenagers and some stress with that, moving and some stress with that. To the point where I ended up gaining like 60 pounds and had an autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, and I was feeling depressed and anxious, social anxiety like never before. I'd had some seasonal depression. I would say I also had some hormonal, not menopause. That's what I'm going through now. I can't think. Periods. But I can't remember, menstrual cycle, depression, anxiety, things like that. So I did have my ups and downs with life, but I was functioning. Whereas after I moved about 5-6 years ago, I just wasn't functioning anymore. Like I had stopped all functioning for the most part. I couldn't work. Every time I'd try, I would fail. I even gave myself a black eye trying to run even 1 mile. Like it was awful. And I ended up getting coached. Oh, look, there's a little plus thing. That was weird. I wonder if that was from my watch. I ended up getting coached, and that started me on this path of learning how to talk to myself, learning how the brain works, learning why I was struggling. And so I got certified as a health and wellness coach. I also got certified as a life coach, and I have continued my education, and I just keep learning, and I keep up leveling my ability to handle stress in life, and things are really, really good. So I wanted to just kind of today quickly go over, the parts of the brain, and then we will go over more each week. It will build upon, and each week I'll give an action item that you can work on to help you as well. So the name of this group is Get on Par with Your Joy, meaning, are you feeling joy as often as you hope to, or as often as you'd like to? And if you're not, how can you choose real joy, which is the name of the company that I have created for my life coaching business, is Choose Real Joy. So first one to begin with, this group is so new, so you may get 2 things this week in case. Oh, look, now there's balloons. I don't even know what the heck is happening here. So weird. You gotta love technology. So you may have 2 things to work on this week if you wanted to do that. Balloons, it's celebrating me. The first one is just recognizing when you feel joy, right? Like, what brings you joy, or what can you do that will help you feel joy? So like some examples might include making your bed, reading a good book, talking with a good friend, going for a walk, whatever it is, where all of a sudden you realize, oh, I'm feeling very peaceful, very positive, very happy. Like joy is kind of an umbrella. I'm using joy as an umbrella for all the positive emotions. So if you're noticing that you are like not feeling down or off or whatever, tap into what you are doing and how it feels, and just really start being very mindful of feeling joy and what that feels like in your body. Okay. Okay, now let's go on to the three main parts of the brain. I have a little picture. You guys should have all been emailed the handout. If you didn't get it, there was one email that got bounced back. So I don't know that I have your correct email address, but I'm just going to show real quickly this paper. This is the parts of the brain. You have the cortex, you have the brain stem, and then you have the limbic system. Okay. And at the top of the brain stem, let's see if I can do this. At the top of the brain stem is the amygdala. Okay, so those, it's important to know because it's interesting to see how this all affects your mindset, your emotions, and your habits, right? Okay, the cortex, this is that top part of your brain, right? That is where you think, you learn, you dream, you have the ability to accept information and thoughts, or you have the ability to reject the thoughts or the stories or whatever. So, and that's going to be important. I'll share that a little bit about that later, but the cortex is really where we want to be thriving. That is where we're going to feel joy, is when we are operating from our cortex. And I'll explain that here in just a second. I'm going to go down to the brain stem next, and I'll talk about the limbic system last. Okay. So the brain stem, brainstorming brings me joy, by the way. So if anyone wants to brainstorm ever, count me in. I love brainstorming. Okay, the brain stem is what keeps us alive. It's the automatic functions, like your breathing, moving. Like I don't have to think to scratch my face if I have an itch. I just automatically do it, okay? This is also, the amygdala is kind of at the top of that brainstem. That's like your nervous system, okay? So, if your nervous system, like if your body feels threatened, either you feel unsafe, unloved, I forget what the other one, there's another one, but if you're not feeling that way, then your nervous system kind of kicks in, okay? And this is a primary function that keeps us alive. If you think about back in the olden days, when you saw a tiger and a tiger was chasing you, you wanted to be able to react really quickly, okay? And that is the amygdala part, is the freeze, the fight, the flight, or the fawn. They've added that fawn in, okay? So those are the things that if you're feeling unsafe or unloved, unsupported, all those things, that's going to kick in. That's going to make your nervous system go, hey, something's not working right. The thing about the brainstem, again, those automatic functions, is it's keeping you alive. It can't distinguish between what's truth and what's not true. Whatever you have told it, or the environment or society has told it that you have accepted, then it believes that and it's going to act that way. So kind of how that affects habits is, so often with habits, we try to change our behavior, but in the reality is we really need to change our thoughts, okay? So if you are trying to, I'm just going to use the lose weight because that seems to be a very popular one. I myself included had some struggles with that. Like I said, I had gained all that weight. If we have believed, like if we have, either somebody has told us that we believed, or our thoughts have told us that we then believed that we are fat, or that we are lazy, or that we can't lose weight, or can't be healthy, or whatever it is that you've been telling yourself, because we believed it and didn't reject it, the brainstem now tries to make sure we stay fat, we stay lazy. And I'm using lazy. I don't really think anybody's really lazy. I think it's all, again, from the brain. But we stay in that state because it's keeping you alive how it was told to keep you alive. And so I'm going to real quickly talk about habits. Habits we have either intentionally created or unintentionally created based on information, again, how we were raised, what movies we watch, what books we read, what social media we're following, what news we watch, you know, what we tell ourselves over and over and over again. that then creates an unintentional habit, okay? And so the way we change that unintentional habit is by intentionally choosing what you want to reprogram into that brain stem through repetition with emotion, and most importantly, to reject when you hear yourself saying something that doesn't go along with what you want out of life, learning to reject it. So if you were wanting to lose weight and you had this thought of, oh, this is too hard, you got to what? Reject it. This is not too hard. I can do this, right? You got to just mentally reject it. I'm like pulling it out of the brain. Don't let it continue to be programmed, okay? And you want to say an affirmation of, so kind of like, I am healthy and fit. Things like that. And we'll dive deeper into this a little bit later. But that is basically the nutshell on reprogramming your habits. Instead of focusing on behavior only, that's typically we fail at that. If you only focus on your thoughts, you will eventually start making, your body will start doing things that you just didn't even think about doing, and you would do it. Like if you told yourself that you walked every single day and that you enjoyed being outside or inside on the treadmill, and you told yourself that every single day, I don't know how long, it's just everyone's gonna be at a different timing, right? And every time the thought came up about, I don't really like to walk, right? The talk back, and you reject it, say, hey, that's not true. I actually do enjoy walking, right? As soon as you get that programmed in, you're gonna start walking without even like forcing yourself to go walking. Now, magic can happen if you do behavior and thoughts at the same time, and you can, because we can usually do behavior for like 3 or 4 days to a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks. And then if we haven't changed our thinking, we're going to go back to the way we were. So let me go ahead now and talk quickly about the limbic system, okay? The limbic system is your emotions piece, okay? Emotions, we have been programmed as a society to really not talk about our emotions, to really just kind of stuff our emotions down, or just to pull up our big girl panties and deal with it and all the things. And the truth is the more we suppress any emotions or any event that has happened to us that has caused us an emotion that hasn't healed, it's going to bring you into that amygdala, the stress response, your nervous system response. And so we don't want to judge any of our emotions. We are human. Even if you are thriving and you are optimal, you are going to feel depressed. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel some shame. You're going to feel some regret. You're going to feel all those things because you're human. The cool thing is as you become more and more emotionally intelligent, you feel it for a moment, and then you can process it pretty quickly. You can get really good at processing it, and then you've dealt with it, so it's not going to hold you back. Now, obviously, the bigger the trauma, the longer it's going to take, most likely. But I want to give you hope that it can change, okay? And I think it's so important to have a coach, which is why I do this. I can do one-on-one. I'm going to be doing group coaching, which works wonderful for lots of people. But sometimes we need that one-on-one coaching to say, okay, I'm not even sure the story I've been telling myself. I'm not even really sure what's holding me back. And I can help kind of peel back the layers to get kind of at that root story or that root thought that has been programmed down into your brainstorm that is stopping you from having the things that you want, okay? But the limbic system, if it is not feeling any of those things, it's going to attach to your cortex. And I like to say that's where the magic happens. That's where you're feeling unstoppable. That's where you're feeling invincible. That's where you're feeling like you are on top of the world and you can do all the things, right? And so that in a nutshell is the 3 parts of the brain. And our goal is to listen to your nervous system and calm your nervous system down. And I'm going to be giving lots of tools, lots of resources on how to do that, okay? So homework assignment. The first one is really start noticing what brings you joy and kind of breathe in the joy and think cognitively, hey, that's joyful. That's going to help programming your brain stem to go, hey, that's joyful. When I do that, I feel joy. I like doing that, right? The second thing is I want you to be very mindful of what thoughts and feelings that you're feeling without judging. Okay. You want to reject the thoughts if you want to take it one step further. You can say, oh, that's not true. But I don't want you, what I don't want you to do is be like, oh, I must suck, or oh, because shame, automatic nervous system shut down. Automatic brings you out of joy. Okay. So getting curious about it and wondering why, because sometimes it's just you need a glass of water. Sometimes you just haven't had your meal. Like sometimes it's a physical thing. It has nothing to do with your emotional state. And so just start getting curious about it, seeing if there's patterns to it too, and just really be like, huh, I wonder why this is interesting. And just get curious about it. So those are the kind of two homework assignments there. Don't reject your emotions. I don't want you to reject emotions. We are going to feel all emotions, and it's okay to feel all emotions. So when you're feeling an emotion, be like, huh, I wonder why I'm feeling that way. Curiosity is still the correct thing to do with emotions, because that's then going to bring you into your thinking brain, your cortex, and it's going to help you start thinking that through. So make sense? Okay. I would love to hear when you watch this replay, I would love to hear some takeaways. Was any of this like you've heard that before and it was like re-cemented? You've heard it before, but in a different way, so it made a little more sense this time? Or what was something that was like, oh my gosh, that is way cool. I never knew that. Okay. All right, guys. And then next week, we will plan the same time. Unless nobody can do this time, I may need to pick a different time. So I'm open to discussion on that. So I would love to know too in the comments, drop what time you are free typically. Give me some times. I know there's not ever going to be a perfect, wonderful time for everybody involved. And I mean, I wish that's where the one-on-one coaching happens, because then we can make a time that is really great just for you. The magic's going to happen too with some group coaching, because I can get on and talk and share. But if I had people to input some of their thoughts, because you guys are so intelligent, you have so many great gifts. You all have something to share, to give in this group, and you all can receive something from everybody in this group as well. So I would love to try to get at least a couple people on. Right now, the time is 9 a.m. Pacific, which is 10 Mountain, 11 Central, noon Eastern. So if you know people too, again, that this would benefit, this would help, I'm telling you, my life has just gotten better, 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 better. It's exponentially getting better now. It was like a little bit of a getting the ball rolling. That did take some time for me. And now it is like going quick. Like it's awesome and incredible. So, okay. Thank you guys all so much.